Things that you study about, as when you're a lawyer, one of the things you study is concepts of rule of law. What does it mean to be in a society that's governed by rule of law? And that's why this question of repatriation and deportations of the migrant workers really troubled me a lot. I think I was overseas when I read all that news, and it really troubled me a lot because it felt like ministers and civil servants were making decisions that affected people's lives in a very, very severe and significant way without there being any check, any avenue for recourse, any openness and transparency. When you go through the court system, everything is open and above board. Charges are public documents, judgments are published, everyone can see. You cannot hide. When things are handled in an administrative fashion, administrative decisions, they are not open to review. Nothing is published, nothing is disclosed. The government will tell you what they want you to see. And that troubles me. In the rest of the common law world, Singapore is a common law country. In the rest of the common law world, the courts have gone down the path of saying that the courts always have the ability to question and review administrative decisions made by the government. That is what rule of law means. In Singapore, we've gone down a different path. In Singapore, we've gone down a different path. Some of you, and I know I'm going on a tangent, but for me, this really sums up what we've been talking about today, about repatriations, about how we're dealing with these migrant workers. In Singapore, after Operation Spectrum, one of the detainees, Cheng Suanzi, appealed all the way to the Court of Appeal. This was a landmark case called Cheng Suanzi, where the Court of Appeal for the first time said, yes, in Singapore, we looked around the world, and in Singapore, the court agrees that the courts have the power to review ISA detentions. What happens in Singapore? The government changes the law. The government changed the law to say, in a very clumsy fashion if you're a lawyer, I have to say, but the government changed the law to say that no, the courts do not have this power. And since then the courts have retreated. We've gone back to that path where the courts will say, no, we cannot review the merits, we cannot look into why the government makes decisions that it does. We can look at certain things which are, for the most part, procedural. Some have called it thin rule of law. Others have called it rule by law. All right, I'm sure people here are familiar with that. All that offends me as a lawyer. It offends my innate sense of justice, of fairness. I think it offends everyone here. It offends your sense of justice, which is why you're here. Right? And that, for me, that's the crux of this case with the migrant workers, with how we're dealing with them, with how we're repatriating some of them without putting them through due process. And that is why the Ministry of Law statement upset me a little bit. Right?